Hello everybody. It's a lovely sunny day here in Inishmore, Aran Islands on the 1st of May, the festival of Bealtaine and the beginning of summer. I have to say I'm really excited by this because we've had a nice run of spring weather coming in and we've had plenty of time to plant our garden. And now we're going to hopefully have a really lovely summer, although I have to say that the dry spell is already causing some water shortages here on the Aran Islands, so it's not all good news. But anyway, that's the background to what I'm sharing with you today. Maybe in the summertime we all like to be optimistic, but I'm an optimistic person anyway. And although, we're locked up with COVID-19 and there's a lot of bad things happening in the world in other ways as well, and we have a climate crisis and so on, I like to try to find the positives in it all. And I found one recently in a small video that a group called the Human Energy Project put out on YouTube recently. And the presenter of that video, in fact, it's a series of videos, is a man that I have followed for years called Brian Swim. He's probably around my age, but he's been promoting a sort of a new cosmology based on evolution for many, many years. And I think this video series is the fruit of that. And it's so optimistic. So, give us all a little lift today, maybe with the first day of summer. I thought I'd talk about something that views the world in an optimistic way. When I was growing up, we were taught to view the world from the perspective of God. Everything was sort of from the eyes and mind of God. When something good happened, you said, thank God. When you wanted something to happen, you said, please God. And so on. And even when I was later studying to be a priest, the whole idea was to try to put yourself into the perspective that God had of the world, which in God being up in heaven was a sort of an off the planet altogether perspective, and look at life from that distance. Whereas in this part of my life, I'm moving well away from that perspective, because I think we have to have a perspective that's very much connected with the earth on which we live. Not on where we might be going after we die, but the earth on which we live right now, and our connection to that earth and to all of life on this planet. And that has led me to try to imagine myself thinking from the perspective of evolution. Like, you and I have a mind, and we try to direct our lives according to how we think and our own perspective, how we experience life. But imagine there's a mind beyond you and me. And here's a way of thinking of it. Imagine, like, at the moment in my office, I can see an ant walking on my desk. All over my office at the moment, there are ants. My office is part of a conservatory, and the whole conservatory is overrun with ants these days. And ants are fascinating creatures because they don't work as individuals. They work as a whole body. So there's a whole hive of ants, and they sort of work as a team. And you find the same thing in a beehive. There's a sort of the mind of the beehive that's much more than the mind of an individual bee. I've noticed that recently because I do a lot of bird watching here on Inishmore, and there are sanderlings that run up and down the beach in and out with every waves, and there are also small ringed plovers that do something similar, but they're always in flocks. And when they take off and fly, they fly as a flock. So what's controlling that? It's not each individual bird, is it? Or is there a sort of a common mind that they share and that guides their flight? Like, who decides when to take off? Who decides whether we turn left or turn right, or go up or go down, or even migrate? There's a larger mind there, which is sort of a little bit beyond our understanding. But anyway, what Brian Swim and this Earth Human Energy Project, which he runs, is suggesting is that we humans are moving towards a planetary mind as part of our evolution. So Brian Swim is looking at evolution as not ending with humans coming on this earth, but continuing through humans. So not the next species after humans, but humans themselves have taken over the next step of evolution. So before humans came on this earth, evolution only happened by a change in the DNA with each new generation of species. So you see that happening in COVID, for example. The more COVID reproduces, the more variations or variants of COVID we get. That's how evolution has worked in those species. But in humans, evolution has taken an accelerated leap forward because evolution gave humans the ability to change before you die. So you and I are not totally instinctive. We have a mind and we can change our behavior if we feel it's appropriate. So we can make things better for ourselves, we can make things better for other species, and we are beginning to do that. So what Brian Swimme is saying, and this is the exciting bit, is that we are moving to the point on this planet, we humans who have already spread all over the planet, but are now learning new technologies and inventing new technologies to connect with each other through the internet, through Wi-Fi, through the way I'm connecting with you right now. This is part of evolution. Like he's saying that the speed of evolution through humans has sped up by over 1 million times. So hugely increased. And you can see that. Like, my parents were born into a world that is much different from the world I was born into. The world had changed when I came into it. And the world has changed so much again for my children. So this evolutionary change that's happening and that's being led by humans is very, very fast and getting faster, I would say, all the time. And what Brian Swimme is suggesting is that it's leading to a planetary mind among humans, exactly the way maybe it operates in bees or in ants or in these sanderlings or ringed plover that I see around me here on the island. And if we get to that stage, we sort of reach a level of maturity as human being, as a human species. You and I may feel, oh, I'm mature, I'm a mature human being. I'm not talking about you and I as individuals, I'm talking about us as a species. We reach maturity when we find a way to live on this planet that is in harmony and has respect for all the other species that are living on this planet. So that's what he's suggesting is where we're moving. And you know the way in a balanced ecosystem, if you go and visit some wilderness where no humans have ever gone near, there's a very balanced ecosystem, like somewhere in the middle of the Brazilian rainforest, for example. So all the species that are present in that ecosystem have worked out a way of living together so that no species is wiped out. Everybody gets enough food. They each maintain their own habitat, and there's a sort of a beautiful dynamic balance in that ecosystem. Well, we humans clearly have not developed that ecosystem yet where we humans can live on this planet and still allow everything else to live on this planet. So we haven't reached that balance yet, but what Brian Swimme is suggesting is that we will. And we'll do that through our planetary mind. He calls it the noosphere, N-O-O-S, noosphere. This will be the new way we will operate as a whole world community to balance everything out. I suppose we're trying to do that now with COVID, so we're learning how to do it, but we'll start doing it in every other way as well. And then his explanation for all the bad things that are going on, the threat of nuclear war, and the way we fight one another, the way we have racism and all these other things, struggles that we have and problems that we have. He says all of that is due to our ignorance. It just means we haven't yet learned. We haven't reached maturity. But he's confident that as we learn and as we reach maturity, we will adjust. We will learn to save the whales and dolphins out in the ocean. We will learn to clean up the plastic mess we've made. We will learn to handle our waste properly. We will learn to no longer put these gases and these climate warming fumes into the atmosphere. We are learning, and we will learn, and we have learned. And that's going to lead to us living on this earth in absolute harmony with all the other species. So isn't that a nice thought? I thought I'd share that with you today because we can be at the forefront of that. Brian Swimme says not everybody in the world needs to understand and work towards that, as long as enough do. So he's sort of looking at the 100th monkey idea, if you know about that, the idea that if you get to a critical mass of people in the world who do subscribe to this perspective and who do try to contribute, then hope you can still hear me, then then it will happen. So that's what has to be optimistic. So I hope that lifts your spirits today, and that you can be one of those people who are part of this effort to bring about a new world order where we all live in harmony, not just with each other, but also with every other species on the planet. Good to talk to you, and we'll talk again in 6 weeks' time at the summer solstice. That'll be the next one. Bye now.